Hey there, Tech Intersect listeners. Have you ever encountered naysayers claiming crypto is too volatile, a total scam, or a hacker's paradise? Well, it's time to dispel these persistent myths and reveal the truth. It's exactly why I wrote Digital Money Demystified, available now wherever books are sold. And this book is your golden ticket from being crypto curious to radiating crypto confidence. Navigate the crypto world with clarity and conquer the chaos. Get your copy today to learn about my journey, separate fact from fiction, and maybe even embark on a transformative journey yourself. Don't stop there. Enhance your learning experience exponentially. Join the DMD Insiders Membership Club. It's a gateway to premier coaching, engaging community, and unparalleled content that complements the insights in the book. Together, we'll unlock the potential of digital money and stride confidently into the future. Visit digitalmoneydemystified.com, grab your guide to the crypto universe, and become an esteemed member of our Insiders Club. Let's decode the digital dollar and invest in your crypto-savvy future right now.
Hi, I'm Tony Martignetti, and this is Tech Intersect. This ability to start with who am I? What is it that makes me who I am? And when you do connect with yourself and get that courage to say, yeah, now I'm ready to share who I am, then you can connect with others. And sharing your story and coming from a place of not like showing off, but more of because I want to open myself up to other people, which is vulnerable. And also it builds trust. That ability to do so and the opportunity that creates with your peers, whether it be, a C-suite to C-suite or a senior person to a junior or just a human to human, which really we should be thinking of it that way, then what happens is we're creating an opportunity for us to see each other deeper. And our collaboration, whatever that might look like, will be something more meaningful.
Welcome to Tech Intersect. I'm your host, Tanya Evans, and my life and work exist at the heart of law, business, and technology. Yeah, I've earned a few fancy titles and degrees over the years, but the bottom line is I'm a writer, speaker, teacher, and lifelong learner, and I'm really excited that you've joined me on this journey. So what is Tech Intersect? Well, it's authentic, empowering conversations with really interesting guests to demystify complex topics to prepare you for the future, because your future is now. And it exists where law, business, and tech intersect. Get ready to listen, learn, and leverage. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tech Intersect, the podcast where technology and intersectionality meet leadership and innovation. I'm your host, Professor Tanya Evans, and today we have a really special guest, Tony Martignetti, a trusted leadership advisor, dynamic coach, and acclaimed author. And Tony brings over 3 decades of rich business experience and a deep passion for helping others enhance their effectiveness and unlock their potential. Known for his thought leadership and recognized by Thinkers 360 and Leaders Hum for his influential voice and leadership, Tony also hosts an inspiring virtual campfire podcast and has penned the transformative books, Climbing the Right Mountain and Campfire Lessons for Leaders. And today we'll be diving into the essence of transformative leadership, explore the challenges leaders face in rapidly changing environments, and uncover the profound insights from Tony's journey and works that can help all of us lead more inspired lives. We will talk about all of that and more in a minute, but first, Tony, welcome.
Thank you so much, Tanya. I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I know we're going to have you have great energy, and I'm looking forward to, just having a good dialogue with you.
Awesome. I think this is going to really help a lot of people because there's so much going on in the world. So many things personally and professionally have changed in a very short period of time for people. It's really challenging for traditional leaders to make sense of not only their own role in their position, but then how to lead a workforce as well. And so to start us off, share a pivotal moment early in your career that shaped your path toward leadership coaching and advisement?
Yeah. I mean, there's one that always comes to mind when I think of this. The moment that had me leaving the corporate world, it had everything to do with seeing leaders showing up for the wrong reasons. I was in an industry that was, the biotech industry where, we were focused on creating therapies for life-changing diseases, life-threatening diseases. And the therapies we were creating were just, really things that touch the heart of everyone who works in them. It was a great journey. I was in the industry for 25 years. And, I was in this moment where I was seeing these leaders who they looked at their employees as cogs in the wheel, replaceable like toner cartridges, if people use that anymore. I don't know. It really frustrated me to see these leaders, use words like, oh, who cares if they leave? We'll just replace them, or see them arguing about things that were meaningless. In that moment, I was sitting in a boardroom and I decided, wow, I can't continue this way. I have to figure out a different path for me personally, but also to find a way to change the way this room is operating. So I decided to leave that room. I literally got up and walked out and decided that I'm going to leave that room to change that room. Probably the dream of many people who have been frustrated at work, but I lived it out with all the fear and trepidation that comes along with that, because leaving that room didn't necessarily have all the answers involved with it. I still had to figure it all out. And I was still scared about what happens next, but I knew that I couldn't continue.
It makes me think of how I came into the world in my own profession. And some of this is nature, other parts nurture. When I think of coloring inside the lines, checking all of the boxes from the latchkey generation. So I'm going to defrost dinner. I'm going to watch, either a cartoon or a soap opera, wait for the special ring, and really follow the guidelines. And I did that throughout my career and working in big law. And, I was the editor-in-chief of my law journal. I clerked in a Third Circuit. I worked in big law. And I just felt like a shell of the self that I could be, because I often chose safety over soul, safe over soul. And so what I hear in your story very much resonates with me. And I think it's such an important point, because oftentimes we think of the messaging around either millennials or Gen Z, and they're looking for the balance that I thought was not possible. And what you're speaking to is there's a both and proposition. I imagine in Climbing the Right Mountain, you kind of lay that out as well, as you challenge readers to ensure that they're on the right path personally and professionally. Talk to us about that.
Absolutely. And I just love what you shared, because it's so on point with the way I was thinking about things. And, we don't have to, give up our souls to make a living. And we do want to have meaning in our life. So why not pursue meaning and find ways to make it into a career and make money doing so? That's important. To pivot into the book, and I often find that these books, first of all, we write books for ourselves, and it sounds selfish, but the reality is it's because we need to explore the things that are most important for us to understand. And so when I wrote this book, at first it was like, okay, I've seen a common thread or common theme show up, not only in my life, but also in the lives of people who I had been working with. And it was that people started to get on this path of, okay, this is who I am, this is what I do, and I work and I move 100 miles an hour up the mountain of my life. And then I get to this place where I'm burnt out, exhausted. Maybe I look like success on the outside, but the reality is I don't really find myself happy on the inside. And then I start thinking, was it all worth it? Does this view that I've climbed to, does it make me happy? Does it fill me with fulfillment, if you will? Because I think fulfillment is even more powerful than happiness. In the book, that's what I explore, is this idea of really reframing and reaffirming, what does success look like for you, and how do we ensure that we're doing it on our own terms, not based on what others think success looks like. And maybe what we initially started the ascent from is this place of what others thought we should do, not what we wanted to do.
That is so important, because the shoulds get you in a world of trouble. It's
always get you.
If there's something that I want to do, I'm all in. But I'm also that type of person Not anymore because, although God isn't done with me yet, I'm still a work in progress, right? But the shoulds will get you in a world of trouble. It's like, yes, sir, right away, ma'am. And that is not authenticity. It makes me think of like Brene Brown. And I know that what you write about quite a bit about vulnerability is very challenging for some to bring that part of themselves into the professional realm. So talk about the importance of vulnerability in leadership that gives the rest of us permission to show up in that way as well.
Yeah, I think it's so important to think about that because so one of the things that often happens is we're putting on our mask when we go into the office. We're putting on our mask when we become the leader we think we need to be. And what happens there is that weighs a lot. It actually is one of the biggest causes of burnout because we try to show up as someone we're not. And because of that, it constantly strains us in the workplace. Just using an example from my life, like I thought I was a finance professional. I thought I was a CFO. And the reality, I wasn't a finance person. I think I programmed myself to think that's who I was. So I had to be analytical. I had to think, numbers. But I think a lot of people saw through that facade and they saw that I was more of a people person. I was more of a person who saw things differently. And the more I allowed that into my world, the more free I felt, the more like me I felt, and I didn't even know that I wasn't feeling that way until I started to really feel it. To come back to what your initial question, the vulnerability, it's not about, sharing all your dirty secrets to everyone in the world, but it's about finding the contextual opportunities to share more of who you really are and to connect, first of all, with yourself to understand what is it that makes me who I am, that makes me truly who I am, and how can I be real with other people so I can show up and work, even when with my flaws, showing those scars and the things that have made me part of my journey that has, made me who I am, and be okay with that. Mm-hmm. People will respect you more for that.
Absolutely. From a leadership perspective, because so often people don't realize, well, maybe if they're early in their leadership journey, how far their voice carries. You get that email that says, can I see you in my office in 5 minutes? You're like, well, let me find my box, right? And Exactly. It could just be, do you want to play tennis this weekend? Or we have this new thing and I wanted to hand it to you especially. But from a workforce perspective, particularly middle management, which, oftentimes is the direct report to leadership, the voice of the leader carries whether you're speaking or not. If you have somebody who shows up in that way, it is the signal about the type of culture and the culture fit, but also as a friend of mine, Danielle Leslie, describes it as the culture add. What is additive about the experience? What is my unique perspective that can be brought? Not all of yourself. Everybody needs a mask, but it doesn't need to be the mask that's like the crown that's so heavy, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever found yourself puzzled, wondering if cryptocurrency is just a fleeting trend, a scam, or perhaps the future? Hi, I'm Dr. Tanya Evans, and I'm here to introduce you to my new book, Digital Money Demystified, Your Ultimate Guide to Deciphering the Crypto Maze. As a legal policy and crypto education expert, I've crafted this book to cut through the chaos, debunk the myths, and tackle the FUD. That's fear, uncertainty, and doubt. From captivating headlines to meticulously sourced data, I guide you through the promises and the pitfalls of digital assets. With 12 chapters and 10 myths dispelled, Digital Money Demystified is designed for investors, business owners, and professionals eager to navigate the digital economy. It's more than just a book. It's a tool for economic empowerment that directs you safely and confidently from cash to crypto. Say goodbye to bewilderment and hello to enlightenment. Transform from crypto curious to confident. Sidestep those scammers and embrace the future of work, wealth, and creativity. Grab your copy of Digital Money Demystified today at the book's companion website, digitalmoneydemystified.com, or wherever books are sold. This is the right book, the right voice at the right time. Don't miss out on the digital revolution. Stop by digitalmoneydemystified.com now. So you're also a pod host as well. I'm really I love speaking to pod folks. I can already tell. We could go on and on. Talk about the Virtual Campfire podcast. As I understand it, and I look forward to listening and experiencing the stories of transformation and of success. Talk to me about what inspired you to start the pod and what you hope your listeners gain from the stories.
I appreciate you bringing this up because, first of all, I never saw myself as being a podcast host. It was something that started as like, okay, I guess I need to create a vehicle for this to happen. Originally, I had this concept of wanting to bring people together in real life to actually share stories of transformation, but I was going to call it Divergent Minds and Convergent Hearts. Yeah, this idea of bringing people who thought differently, but who would come together, share some of their ideas, some of their stories around a campfire, hopefully, and create that sense of connection. And not changing, their minds or changing, they don't have to leave feeling like they no longer think the way they did, but at least respecting and honoring each other. So as the pandemic settled in, I decided, you know what, I think this is going to take on a little bit of a different life form. And that's where I started to come up with the concept of, I still want that campfire, but I wanted to have it so that I could share very intimately the stories of individuals who have really made an impact in the world, in whatever arena they're in, whether it be an artist, thought leaders, business leaders, you name it. But how did they get there? What was the journey that revealed who they are? How did they come to be such a big deal, if you will? And I did it through what's called these flashpoints, which is very intentional. I call it flashpoints because, there's these moments where all of a sudden your spark is ignited and you see a new path. You're illuminated with new opportunities and new paths that you wouldn't have before. And sometimes it comes from a very dark place, surviving cancer or, having a very dark moment of, not knowing what to do with your life. And then all of a sudden seeing a path come to fruition. And so that's really what the intention was, is to be able to give people a space, a very safe and intimate space to share those stories, but also make sure that the listeners had a way to hear them so they can relate and know that they're not alone, that their journey is not, one that they have to go all alone, that these are people they can relate to. They're no different than anyone else.
That makes me think of how leadership can be very isolating as well. So how do you recommend leaders build and maintain the networks that support and challenge them to grow in this context as well?
Yeah, one of the starting points is to be, first of all, understand your story, make sure you connect with yourself. And this is in a through line. A lot of the work I do is this ability to start with who am I? What is it that makes me who I am? And when you do connect with yourself and get that courage to say, yeah, now I'm ready to share who I am, then you can connect with others. And sharing your story and coming from a place of not like showing off, but more of because I want to open myself up to other people, which is vulnerable. And also it builds trust. So that ability to do so and the opportunity that creates with your peers, whether it be, a C-suite to C-suite or a senior person to a junior or just a human to human, which really we should be thinking of it that way. Right. Then what happens is we're creating an opportunity for us to see each other deeper, and our collaboration, whatever that might look like, will be something more meaningful. I often say that connection is at the center of all innovation. So if you want to innovate, you have to deeply connect.
Are you tired of feeling lost in the world of trading and investing? Get informed and inspired with the Talking Trading podcast. I'm Louise Bedford, and I'll help you navigate the markets like a pro. Tune in each week and subscribe now at talkingtrading.com.au or on your favourite podcast app. Or check out the link in the show notes. Talking Trading. This is how traders excel.
Very powerful There's so much imagery that I'm experiencing as I listen to you speak. And also the reality that some of the things I've been thinking through when I think about the future of leadership, kind of at the intersection of technology, business, law, inclusion, things of that nature, and a paradigm shift that is necessarily happening from a fear-based kind of lordship rule over people to a trusted collaborative environment. Leadership doesn't always have to be a die-hard pyramid-based scheme. There can be one person who is the final decider on, decisions, et cetera, but offering the collaborative trust building framework actually instills confidence, loyalty, folks giving you the benefit of the doubt, right? This is not a zero-sum game, and it's not just leader does this and then everyone else benefits, but as a matter of a bottom line, I just imagine it has to be better for the bottom line. I intended to ask you this earlier, but this is a really good place to do this. Kind of a day in the life of your coaching, because we're experiencing as we speak with you how you would approach a leader, and we hear the transformation that you're focused on. But what does that kind of day in the life of coaching look like, and any challenges that you, I imagine there might be a few challenges along the way for you personally in your coaching practice?
There are different types of challenges, but let me just give you an example of some of the things that I come up against. First of all, the typical clients I work with are usually, I call them outlier leaders, because a lot of these leaders are coming from a very technical background and they think outside the box. They want to make an impact, but they don't want to burn out in the process of doing that. And what has them burning out is their inability to deeply connect with other people because they speak a different language. Oftentimes that's the challenge. And no one's invested enough time and effort into allowing them to build the acumen of the leadership skills that they need to be able to connect with others, for them to realize that empowering others and using people as the vehicle to get, I shouldn't say using, but enabling people to be the conduit to executing their vision is the best vehicle to use. And so I help them to really get through this process of understanding, like, how do I best connect with others? How do I speak to them in a way that enables them to see my vision and allow myself to feel comfortable being in this world of people leadership?
Yeah, I love that. And some final thoughts or recommendations for leaders who find themselves in a position where they know they need more and they don't know where to start. What would be like the top 3 things of if someone wants to take immediate action today, and certainly immediate action in your direction? What are those 3 steps that leaders need to do in order to pivot successfully in this new world that we find ourselves in?
Yeah. First of all, slowing down is not a flaw. We need to slow down because ultimately those little pauses are exactly what it's going to take for us to find out what's not working. What is it that I'm doing? What pattern I'm stuck in that is not really serving me? We can't see it if we don't stop, because it just is something we're doing on autopilot. And the other thing is I have these 3 C's I always think about when it comes to being really powerful as a leader. It's connection, curiosity, and compassion. And that starts with yourself, and then it radiates from there. It's how are you being compassionate with yourself, knowing that you're not perfect. You're a human, not a robot. So start there. How are you being compassionate with yourself? How are you being curious about yourself and others? And how are you connecting with yourself and others?
What I hear is you have to start on the inside.
Yeah.
And that will radiate outward and be a reflection in your work environment, and probably your personal environment will be enhanced as well.
100%.
Finally, what is next for you, sir? Are there new projects, upcoming books, speaking engagements, the life to the stars? Do tell.
Well, I'll mention 2 things quickly. I will say, number 1, I do have a new book that I'm going to be working on, but it's going to be a little bit of a while. So I'll just say that it's related to staying grounded in chaotic times.
I look forward to that one for sure. We'll call that breaking news with a little B. And you're going to come back on and talk about it.
And the other thing that is more present and more near term is, when I launched my latest book, Campfire Lessons for Leaders, I started a program called Campfires of Connection, which is basically a program that puts a lot of those lessons into the hands of leaders. And so I go into organizations and help them to create connections with their teams.
Awesome. Well, Tony Martignetti, tell people where they can learn more about you and your work and all of the forthcoming projects that you're working on.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much. I want to start by saying you can go to my website. It's at ipurposepartners.com. And there you can find pretty much everything, my podcasts, my books, and everything. And then the other spot is LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and I'm always sharing stuff and celebrating other people. So come check me out on LinkedIn as well.
I'm so excited that we're connected. I love the work that you're doing. I look forward to learning more about it. And I feel like I've had 9 lives in terms of my professional career. Fun fact, I was a professional tennis player before I even went to law school, which seems like a million years ago. And before that, I had a book of poetry. I was a spoken word artist. When I talk about safe over soul, there was this moment at the firm where I was like on the front pages of a weekender, used to, in those things they called the newspaper back in the day, in the before times. And it would tell you like what the haps were in your particular city for the weekend. I was on the cover of that because I had done this really big spoken word thing. And the partner comes into my office, throws it across the desk and says, "If you have time for that, you don't have time for this," and walked out.
Wow.
That's a form of leadership that, and, I think of my youth and not having the support to work through it and coloring inside the lines at that time. It separated me from the creativity that gave me balance. And it was a long process to this moment in time. I've served in leadership roles of the associate dean of a law school. I have administrator in me.
Yeah.
But this time it will look different. And it will look different because of folks like you who remind us of ourselves and to step out on faith. And that when you have new information, you get to make a new decision. So it's never a wrong thing. So I look forward to having those conversations with you as well, because I sense intuitively that you absolutely get it. Keep sharing that message because there are a lot of us recovering color inside the liners who need you. So thank you, Tony.
Oh, thank you. I'm so grateful you shared what you shared because that's exactly what I'm talking about. And we need that. Obviously the way you were treated in that moment was awful. Mm-hmm. And it's just the antithesis of what we really need. That should have been faced with something like, "Oh my God, how awesome that you do this."
Right.
Let's celebrate that. Let's talk about it. Let's bring it into the workplace and let's become champions of that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. All right. So stay tuned. We're going to come back and next time maybe I'll share a poem.
Awesome.
That'll really wow the crowd.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to the Tech Intersect Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you love it, please tell the world. If not, go ahead and tell me. And in either case, drop a comment or ping me on social media at IPProfEvans with the hashtag Tech Intersect. And finally, a quick reminder on digital safety. There are a lot of scammers out there impersonating me and others, and I need your help. Now hear this, and remember, I will never slide into your DMs to say peace and blessings or hey, and I will never reach out to solicit your time or your money on social media like ever. I'm not a trader. I am an educator and an attorney licensed in 4 states. Thank you very much. I'm here to inform, inspire, and empower. No cap. And definitely no Forex. So be careful, make good choices, and remember, I developed an entire free masterclass about the topic of digital safety in the crypto space. So check out secureyourcryptobag.com for more information. That's secureyourcryptobag.com. All right, that's all for this episode. Until next time, continue to shine.